is Mr. Frank the Tank, and it's finally time to go into this series we've really been waiting for. We're going to play old games that I grew up with in my childhood and see how well they held up in 2024, being the first one, Dragon Ball Z Budokai on the PlayStation 2. Now, this was my very first copy, original copy I bought. This is not like one I bought off of a flea market or something. This is the original one I've had since I was a child. And it all started really with, I mean, everyone knows what Dragon Ball Z was. It was your night cartoon on the weekend on Toonami. It was a big hit. Huge anime fan. It got me into anime originally with my friends that I grew up in the neighborhood. But really, I was over at my buddy's house, and we played on the great PS2, as always, one of the best consoles of all time. And he greatly introduced me into the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series. I was hooked from the start. Me and his brother played it all night. Very short game. I'm going to get more in depth with that, but I highly recommend playing Budokai series. Budokai has 1, 2, and 3, different from the Budokai Tenkaichi series. But before we get into it, make sure you click that bell before we go. Half of you guys are not even subscribing to my future videos, so you don't even get to see if I post anything new. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys do that, and it does help support the channel. And as always, thank you for watching. But let's get into it. And Dragon Ball Z Budokai, as it hold up? Let's see. Now, we could be talking about this all day long, but obviously, you know, everyone, Akira Toriyama made this amazing show called Dragon Ball that started a huge franchise that led into Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z also first got introduced to the video game world back on the Nintendo, but we're going to play Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 on the PlayStation 2, of course. Dragon Ball Z Budokai came out in November 29th, 2002. It was on most platforms for, obviously, PS2, GameCube, PlayStation 3, and eventually Xbox 360 getting remasters where you could have a Budokai 1 and 3 collection together. 2 they left out, weirdly enough, I don't know why, and 2 didn't even get published into the GameCube for some reason. It never got a GameCube date later down the road, and that's very odd to me, and I could never find out why. The HD collection did come out in 2012 of November 2nd as well. Now, going into Dragon Ball Z Budokai, you play as Goku, and it really basically holds up from the start of Dragon Ball Z, where him and his friends gather together, and a mysterious ship drops down, alien life form named Raditz, who is a Saiyan, who is the brother of Goku, and tells them that he needs to take his son Gohan away from him to train him to take over the world. Well, Goku doesn't realize that his power level is way weaker than he is, and you have to fight off Raditz to get your son back. Basically, in the Budokai series, you go through the Saiyan saga, where you fight off Raditz, then Vegeta and Nappa, who later come down the road. Then you also play later in the Android and Cell saga, is where it kind of ends up at, but also, obviously you also play in the Frieza saga as well. You could probably play this game well around about 3 to 4 hours to get most of the story done. Now, it is your normal 2.5D side-to-side beat-em up. I say beat 'em up like button masher fighter game. There's not really any skill to it. The biggest skill to me is basically timing all your natural reactions to when you guys both connect together with these certain fast movement quests where you have to roll around the analog stick really fast, and whoever does it the fastest completes that and obviously gets the hit. Now, the biggest thing for me was the biggest delay. I played this on an emulator, of course, because my PS2 right now is not working. The biggest thing was remembering the moves, but also trying to get off a combo or some sort. It's really not kind of any skill, like I said before, but it's just something nostalgic I grew up with, and that's why I really always go back to this game. There's nothing really simple or big into it, but it's just, it feels like how the show was when you watched it on Toonami or as you grew up watching it on television. They nail it exactly. Even the intro song slaps. The intro song is exactly almost identical to what Rock the Dragon was on Toonami, and I absolutely love that. They nailed the talking. A little bit of the narration is simple down. It's very straightforward. It's not a lot of dialogue at all, but I do like that this Budokai obviously shows the characters moving. It's not just some chapter book going over letters and their faces popping up. It's actually the characters showing up on screen, and you get to see some of the effects. Now, the graphics obviously have a little bit been dated. It's almost been 23 years, but it's something that us fans just love to go back to and play. And I really think new fans in anime should try this game out just to get a feel for it. Now, the button controls might be a little better than what I experienced since I played through a emulator. But like I said, you get to play as Goku, you get to play against Raditz, you unlock all these different sorts of characters. You can unlock up to over, I believe, 27 characters. Well, you have your main story mode, your dual mode if you want to play PvP, split screen, which was a big thing back in the day, of course. And then you can also play World Tournament after you beat the story mode, where you can unlock and get more money and tokens, and you can unlock more movesets, make more movesets, but you also can unlock more characters as well, different suits, outfits, and even extra items that help you through your fights, like sensu beans, and even the virus they added in the game to kill Goku, and your health slowly drains down for a little bit. I like the little things like that, the little details they add into that. Basically, you play through the story, and you kind of unlock that character as you beat them. So once you beat Raditz, you unlock that character, and then once you beat Frieza, you unlock his character in his forms as well, in all 3 stages of his forms. Of course, then the secret characters are a little like harder to get, but it's really just a little bit of a grind, a couple more, maybe like 6 hours tops, if you are actually playing and beating all your matches in the World Tournament. I really like the World Tournament aspect because it makes you feel like you're in the actual tournament, how the announcer announces the battle, and how you actually can get a ring out to win the match. You don't necessarily have to defeat your opponent. Now, like I said, you can go in the menu and you can customize movesets with characters. You can use their normal moveset, or you can use their custom moveset that you've created. I always like personally making my custom moveset because I like using a Warp Kamehameha, or make sure Vegeta has a Gallic Gun, or just because maybe I had some secret move where if Frieza dies, he can become back to life and be Robotic Frieza. Now, Trunks and the androids are mainly the other characters you have to unlock just by playing a little more after the story mode. The options are normal based. They let you control your volume, your normal settings, if you want to have vibration on. Nothing simple or too basic to it. It's really complex. Like I said, it's a very straightforward game. Like I said, after you beat Cell was probably the biggest pain in my ass ever. My god, this fight killed me. It took me about almost 2 hours to beat this fight, and of course I played on an emulator, and the game fucking crashed on me, and I had to restart the game and beat Cell all over again with Kid Goku. Or Kid Gohan. Jesus Christ, can you fucking talk? Oh my goodness. But Dragon Ball Z Budokai playing in 2024, it definitely had the nostalgic feeling, but oh my goodness, this game did not date well, and I feel like I said, the buttons were not connecting very smoothly at all, but the story is obviously the bread and butter of this. Once you play through the story, it's kind of just a one and done deal to me, unless you want to grind out and 100% the game with the characters and all the move list and the roster. Obviously, back in the day, split screen was a very fun thing, but now we have online to where split screen isn't as popular. But if I were to say in 2024, Dragon Ball Z Budokai is a very interesting game still that started, I think, the hope for anime games and video games to now, where you still have Dragon Ball Z being a very popular video game like Fighters, Zooniverse, and now even bringing back Spark and Zero, which is technically the new Budokai Tenkaichi game. So fans obviously still love these anime games being published into the video game world. Not all anime games get a lot of love, and a lot of anime games like Jump Force are dog water trash, and they just suck so bad. It's just so hyped up, and they just don't do well. But I really think Budokai is a big staple for the franchise and the video game industry as a whole. And that's what I really like about it. I think you know what to expect once you've played it, but you have respect for it. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And that's really what I liked about this game and what I really like about this franchise. And it's kind of that's what appealed me away from Tenkaichi. Everyone always hypes up Budokai Tenkaichi, but really I feel like the regular Budokai series is the perfect staple for a Dragon Ball fan. Tenkaichi, to me, it has a great roster, but everything else is really not there for me. But where Budokai is a little bit of everything, a good, decent story, a good roster, a good way to tell new people and new players how to play, and it's just a simple basic game. Now it does have hard moments like fucking holding Raditz down, making sure you can get a special beam cannon off. That thing got me fucking blistered up as a kid, rolling around the analog stick like crazy with your hands trying to get it timed right. Oh my god, I could barely do it now being at freaking almost 30 years old. I can't imagine how I was trying to do it back then when I was like 8, 9 years old. That freaking mission was hard as fuck, dude. But like I said, Dragon Ball Z Budokai in 2024 is a fantastic game. Graphic-wise, not so much. Button-wise, it's okay, but story-wise and just being an anime fan, it does pretty well. And that's why I think it is still held up to its staple as of right now after being almost 23 years. Did you play Dragon Ball Z Budokai, and what video would you like to see next? And what is your favorite anime game that you want to see in the franchise? Let me know in the comics. And as always, please make sure you guys click that bell. It does help the channel out a lot, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you as always. This is Mr. Frank the Tank. Thank you for being awesome.